Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Yeah, Sri Harad Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for giving me this seva. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hare Krishna to all devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. On Gauri Shishra Prabhupada and Gurudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chevam Narotanam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Mudirate Nashte Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, title Scheduled Incarnation with Specific Function, verses 41 to 43. Text 41. Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 1,000 faces. Text 42. But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. But those who are attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so. Text is 43 to 45. O Narad, although the potencies of the Lord are unknown and immeasurable, still because we are all surrendered souls, we know how he acts through Yoga Maya potencies. And similarly, the potencies of the Lord are also known to the all-powerful Shiva, the great king of the atheist family, namely Prahlad Maharaj, Swambhav Manu, his wife Satarupa, his son and daughters like Priyavarta and Uttapan, Akuti, Devuti, and Prasuti, Prachina Bari Ribhu, Anga, and father of Veena, Maharaj, Dhruv, Ishvaku, Alia, Muchand, Maharaj Janak, Gandhi, Raghu, Ambrisha, Sagara, Gaya, Nashu, Na Ahusa, Mandata, Alakar, Dhanave, Anu, Rati, Dev, Bhishma, Bali, Urutreya, Dil, Ipa, Shobri, Utnaka, Shibhi, Deval, Pipalada, Saraswata, Uddhava, Parasara, Bhorishi Sen, Vibhishana, Hanuman, Sukdev Goswami, Arjuna, Arishtisen, Vidur, Shrutidev, etc. Text 46. Surrender souls, even from groups leading sinful lives such as women, the liberal class, the mountaineers, and the Sirabaris, or even the birds and beasts, can also know about the science of Godhead because and become liberated from the clutches of illusionary energy by surrendering unto the pure devotees of the Lord and by following in their footsteps in devotional service. Text 47. What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. That is certainly the unlimited phase of the supreme enjoyer, the personality of Godhead. He is internally void of all disturbances and is fearless. He is complete consciousness as opposed to matter, uncontaminated and without distinctions. He is the principal primeval cause of all causes and effects, in whom there is no sacrifice for furtive activities, and in whom the illusionary energy does not stand. Text 48. In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of the mind, mental speculation, or meditation. As performed by the Jnanis and Yogis, one gives up such processes as the heavenly king Indra forgoes the trouble to dig a well. Text 49. The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything, as subsuous because the results of whatever action are performed by the living being in either the material or spiritual existence are awarded by the Lord. As such, he is the ultimate beneficiary. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists exactly like the air within the body. Text 50. My dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there are no other causes of the phenomenal and nominal existences. Text 51. O Narad, the science of God, Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me in summary by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken as the accumulation of his divine of his diverse potencies. Please expand this science yourself. Text 52. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental loving service unto the personality of Godhead, Hari, the supersoul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Last text of the purport. Text 53. The Lord's activities in the association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji, for reading. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah, when the Kumari, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Sure, Saraswati. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji, for reading. I will start with the prayer. ओम अज्ञातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो वस्तुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाभूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are reading from. Are you able to hear?
Yes, Mother, it's clear, Mother.
Oh, okay. So in this, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, verse from 41 to 53. So far we were all reading, hearing about different various incarnations of the Lord that appeared, like Boar incarnation, Kapila, Dattatreya, Naranarayan, Narasimha, Rishabhadev, and Lord Krishna himself, Lord Ram, Vasudev. So many various incarnations are mentioned in previous verses of this chapter. Then later it is also explained how Lord Brahma is the representative of the Lord for creation, Lord Vishnu for maintenance, and Lord Shiva for annihilation. And they are all different representative manifestations of the energy of the Lord. So in the last verse of yesterday, verse 40, it is explained about Vamanadev also, who covered everything with his 2 feet. And he also made a hole into the causal ocean, which came to the material world, known as Ganga. So it shows the unlimited power of Lord Vishnu. Today we will look from verse 41. So verse 41, Lord Brahma is talking to Narada and explaining that no one knows about the fully omnipotent Lord. There is no one who is aware of all the full potencies of the Lord. Prabhupada mentions about, in the purport, he mentions about 3 primary potencies of the Lord: internal, external, and marginal. And each one has unlimited expanse. And no one can calculate or understand them in full. And even the first incarnation of the Lord, who is Kesha, it also does not have full knowledge of the full potencies of the Lord, even though he is glorifying the Lord with 1,000 mouths. So we can totally understand about our situation, like how we are far away from understanding it completely. And whatever little we are able to fathom despite being in this material world is only because of the mercy of the Lord and his devotee. So definitely we know what a person is trying to say when he knows that, oh, I know Krishna, he's this and he's that. And they say it because they don't have complete knowledge. They have misunderstandings of the Lord. But one realization here can be for all of us that no one can calculate the great potencies of the Lord in full, and one should not have any doubt about it. Because the Lord is the supreme and anything and everything is possible for him. So in 41, Lord Brahma is mentioning about the potencies of the Lord, which are unlimited, and no one can calculate them in full. Next is verse 42. But how we can understand it is mentioned in 42. One who is specifically favored by the Lord due to the unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, then one can overcome this illusion and understand about the Lord. But those who have not surrendered, it is very difficult for them. They can never do it. So Prabhupada says in the purport that unalloyed devotee knows the glories of the Lord. In the sense, even though they are not able to calculate them in full, at least they know that they can understand how great the Lord is and his expansion of diverse energy. So the understanding total potencies of the Lord or calculating them is not within anyone's reach, but the devotee understands about the greatness of the Lord. And those who are on the bodily platform and think oneself as body, and they are ignorant of the science of the Lord. So, and there are materialists, right? Prabhupada says in the purpose that they are always trying to work for the welfare of the body, for family. They're trying to work for family, for the nation, or they always want to do something good for others, for the welfare of others, such as philanthropic work. But what about the welfare of the soul? So that main thing is missing, and people are ignorant about it, and that is not given much significance. That's because there is no knowledge about it, or because of the ignorance. So only when one has the knowledge of the soul and body and what is the relationship between them, then one can understand the Lord. But if there is no knowledge of the Lord, or the relationship between him and what is our relationship with him and what we are doing here. So Prabhupada says if we don't have this knowledge, then even though we have success in materialistic life, or if we are flourishing, even though we are flourishing materially, it's of no use. It's a failure if you don't have the absolute knowledge. Because you cannot take that materialistic achievement with you right after death. But if you have performed some bhakti, definitely it will help you in your further journey. So this is a little bit about verse 42. It explains how one can understand it when we surrender unto the service of the Lord. Next we have verses 43 to 45. So here Lord Brahma says to Narada that we cannot understand the full potentials of the Lord, and although they are immeasurable to us, because we are all surrendered, we can know how he is acting in his Yoga Maya potency, and how Krishna is arranging his pastimes with the help of Yoga Maya along with his devotees. Just here Lord Brahma is talking about all the devotees of the Lord, and he gives the big list of all the devotees who are aware of Krishna's Yoga Maya potential. The names are like Lord Shiva, Prahlad Maharaj, Swayambhu Amanu, and Devahuti, Dhruv Maharaj, Ambrish, Bhishma, Uddhava, Sukadeva Goswami, Arjuna, Vidura, and there are many other devotees like Hanuman. So Prabhupada says in the purpose that all these devotees are aware of different potencies of the Lord, along with the potency of his name, quality, pastimes, entourage, personality, etc. But how they know it? He says because they have not speculated it mentally. Because people try to know about the Lord only with the help of some little knowledge they have. Or some little knowledge their senses have gathered by seeing or hearing from someone who also doesn't have full knowledge, or through material instruments, like they have gathered knowledge through microscopes or telescopes. And they speculate something and also provide that wrong knowledge to others. But because we might have seen very few planets, right, as much as we can see. But there are millions of other planets. What about them? So not many know that these are only the manifestations of the Lord's material energy. Those who speculate have no idea of Lord's spiritual energy. They just try to speculate something with a little bit knowledge they have. And they cannot know about spiritual energy by doing such material effort. They can only speculate wrongly. So Prabhupada also gives praman from Upanishad, which says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be known simply by working hard, like how people work hard to gain materialistic profits, right? And taxing the good brain for materialistic knowledge. Nor he can be known simply by mental speculation and the ability of words. These are the words of Prabhupada. So actually, if you see people who are intelligent, we know we have so many intelligent people around us, but not everyone is in Krishna consciousness, right? So if you see that those who are very intelligent because they are doing good in academics, in this materialistic knowledge, but if they surrender and accept this path submissively, they can definitely be good devotees and preachers, right? But they don't do that. So that's not actually real intelligence. Even though they think that they are intelligent in the materialistic knowledge, actually that's not the real intelligence. Real intelligence is to tax your brain to know about the Lord or who we are. So one needs to surrender to gain the knowledge and also acknowledge the authority of devotees, which are mentioned here, like how they are come into the line of Krishna and how we can surrender unto them. So Lord Brahma actually is mentioning about the names of all these devotees and explaining that how we cannot understand about these full potencies But because we are surrendered, we at least know how Krishna acts in the Yogamaya, so his Yogamaya. So this is about some verses 43 to 45 in start. Verse 46. So this verse explains how even the lowest of living entities, like women, laborer class, mountaineers, barbarians, birds, beasts, can know about the science of the soul when one surrenders unto the Supreme Lord and Lord's devotees, and they follow when they try to follow in the footsteps of the devotees of the Lord. So even though here women is mentioned here, it also says laborer class, which means men. So we don't have to misunderstand that only like women is mentioned. It means women as well as men, because in Kali Yuga almost all are fallen, and that is what it is. So Prabhupada explains in the purport, in response to the question some people ask related to surrendering to the Lord. Whenever people hear about surrendering to the Lord, they ask, where is God and whom we should surrender? So even though we are not able to see the Lord, if we sincerely want God's guidance, then Prabhupada says that he sends a bona fide devotee of the Lord, and whom we can surrender, and that devotee will guide us back home, back to God. So in such case, material qualification is not required, because in material world, when you want to work for some, when you want to work, and then you need specific qualification for that, right? Then you study accordingly when you try to get qualified. But without that, if you don't have that specific qualification, you cannot work there. So, but it's not the case in devotional service. Like for devotional service, the only qualification is that surrendering to the Lord, and it is in our hands. So only that qualification is enough, that you need to surrender to the Lord. Prabhupada further explains about Guru, or the bona fide representative of the Lord, like who is representing the Lord, who is not different from the Lord, is more kind, is easily approachable. These are all the different qualities of the Guru that Prabhupada explains in this purport, in the next part. And when we are ready to surrender unto that bona fide Guru, one can easily understand the science of the God. So we don't have to speculate, or don't have to try to understand on our own. We just have to surrender unto the devotee of the Lord, and we can easily understand the science of the God. So those who are willing to surrender and gaining such knowledge is not at all difficult. You need to have that strong will. But if you don't surrender, then it's very difficult. That's what Prabhupada says in the purpose. So next is 47. 47 is actually like glorification of the Lord by his features. So first, the Brahman feature is mentioned along with other features, like how Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and fearless and uncontaminated, and cause of all causes and effects. So actually, it's a very long purport, but the essence of the purport would be, like Prabhupada mentions, the realizing impersonal Brahman is the first step, because of due to his distinction from the illusory conception of material existence. That means Krishna is distinct from the illusions of material world. Just like a light is distinct from darkness, right? Wherever there is light, there is no darkness. So wherever there is Krishna, there is no illusion. That is there only in this material world. So Brahman realization means the effulgence of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead is the third step of Brahman realization. So Prabhupada says one must understand all three features of the Lord, of the Absolute, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So this Brahman realization is free from all miseries, and it's just the opposite conception of material world. So of course there are no miseries in the Brahman realization, but that's the partial realization. There is Paramatma, and there is also the Bhagavan feature, which is the complete knowledge, complete realization of the Lord. So Prabhupada talks about how Krishna is the super soul. He also talks about Paramatma Vidya, how Krishna is the super soul in everyone's heart. So supreme conception of affection is realized due to this soul to soul realization. So we have in this world also we see there is affection between father and the son, or their siblings or friends. So why we have this affection? Because of the soul to soul relationship. And although it is limited in material world, it becomes full as soon as you come in touch with Supreme Lord, because he is the full object of affection for us. So this relationship with God is never broken. Prabhupada further explains how senses of the Lord are pure, transcendental, and free from all contamination and material identification. The senses of the Lord and devotees are without any place, and there is a distinct difference between the material and spiritual senses. So he also explains about transcendental senses of the Lord. So this is about Krishna's features. Prabhupada talks about Brahman realization and the Paramatma feature of the Lord, and how Krishna's senses are all transcendental. Then we have verse 48. 48 explains that when one is in such state, when one is realized about all these features, then we don't have to control the mind artificially. We don't have to speculate like Dhyanis and yogis. One gives up the process naturally. Example is given, very nice example is given how King Indra, he forgot the trouble to dig a well. So why this example is given? Does Indra really need to dig a well? Because he is the controlling demigod of for arranging clouds and supplying rain, right, to the universe. So he does not have to dig a well for the water supply, right? It would be foolish if he starts to dig the well, because he's supplying rain to the universe. Similarly, when one is engaged in the service of the Lord, it includes the control of senses and spiritual perfection. They don't have to undertake particular effort for that, or they don't have to undertake the trouble of speculating on the mind or meditating by controlling the senses. So those who are poor in transcendental knowledge, they do it. So it is the real perfection of life to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. That is what is mentioned in Prabhupada in the purport. So if you are engaged in the loving service of the Lord, naturally this control of senses and meditating and all that, everything is included in that. You don't have to make any special effort for that. It is what is mentioned by Prabhupada in the purport very nicely, and the example is also very nice. How Indra does not have to dig well, especially because he is already supplying rain to them. Verse 49, it explains how Lord awards the results, material or spiritual results, irrespective of one's action. Whether it's material or spiritual, Krishna awards the results because he is the ultimate benefactor. Everything comes from him. Everything needs his sanction. He needs to sanction everything. So there is a Bhagavad Gita verse is mentioned by Prabhupada in this verse, related to this verse in the purport that ye yatha mam prapadyante samspatayo bhajami. That Krishna, where Krishna says, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. And everyone follows my path in all respects. So the living entities are given freedom to make their choices, and the Lord awards them accordingly. It's in our hand, it is our choice, what we want to do. So, but devotees are intelligent and they naturally want to be associates of the Lord. So it's like unlike impersonalists who want to speculate and meditate. But devotees are not like that. They are naturally inclined to serve the Lord and to be the associates of the Lord. They are naturally inclined to be the father or the mother or friend or lover of Krishna. So this is actually very confidential, but Srila Prabhupada is just sharing it all liberally. How devotee naturally develops this mood of becoming associate of the Lord and they are engaged in the devotional service. And all this devotional service, they include all these 9 transcendental processes: hearing, chanting, deity worship, and devotees achieve the highest results by all these processes. In the next part of perfect other verse, actually it mentions even after this material body is destroyed, living entity still exists. An example is given like how air exists within the body. So what does it mean? Air is within and without the body. Therefore, when the material body is destroyed, the living spark, the soul still exists, right? Like how air is existing within the body, it continues to exist, right? So by the direction of the Lord, the living entity is awarded the necessary spiritual body. According to our mood, Krishna gives the awards the necessary spiritual body. There is one more beautiful statement back of Part where I will just read it as it is. The Lord is so kind that even if a devotee of the Lord cannot fulfill the complete course of devotional service, the complete course is mentioned here. If you are not able to complete your devotional service in this particular life, unalloyed and uncontaminated by material association, is given another chance in the next life by being awarded a birth in the family of a devotee or rich man, so that without being engaged in the struggle for material existence, the devotee can finish the remaining purification of his existence and thus immediately after relinquish the present body, go back home, back to God. So it shows how Krishna is so kind. He gives another chance. He makes sure that you take birth in the devotee family or big family, and then you engage yourself in the devotional service. And then you can complete your course of devotional service. So this is what is mentioned by Prabhupada. So even though this current existing body is destroyed, the soul still remains. And Krishna awards the soul the spiritual body according to one's surrender. And even though you cannot get the spiritual body in this birth, you get the birth in a devotee family. So this is what is explained by Srila Prabhupada in the first part. So verse 50, where Brahma explains to Narada that this temporary world is the external potency of the Lord, and the souls, we are conditioned souls who are struggling here are the marginal potency of the Lord. So there is only one cause for all this, who is none other than Krishna, who is the primeval cause of all causes. So he is aloof from all these interactions of external and marginal potency. Right? In Bhagavad Gita 9.4 it's mentioned, right? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat vyakta murtina. Krishna says, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. But Prabhupada further explains that Krishna has created this material world, but we should not blame him for creating it. He also gives a nice example how we should not blame the king for creating prison house, because it is necessary, right? Those who are disobedient to the laws of the government, the prison house is required for them. Similarly, in the material world, it is full of misery. Those who have forgotten about the Lord and those who are trying to lord it over, it is required for them. This material world is required for them. But Krishna does not have direct attachment to this material world. So he's not to be blamed for his creation. In fact, Krishna is more eager to have us back home, back to God. So it is because of our consciousness that he has created this material world for us who have forgotten about him. But Krishna is actually waiting for all of us there, back home, back to God. He's more eager to see us there. So this is a little bit about verse 50. 51, Brahma says that this knowledge was given to him in the form of summary by the Lord himself, and he says that it tells Narada that you expand this science for himself, for yourself. So Krishna is not different from the science of God, right? He's a literally incarnate truth, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. And Brahma has received this knowledge directly from the Lord. and he handed over it to Narada, and who in turn ordered Srila Vyasadeva to expand it. So this is because it has come in the line of Krishna, it is the perfect knowledge. So Prabhupada says that's why it should be received from the bona fide representative of the Lord in the disciplic sense, in the chain of disciplic succession, like how it came from Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, and Vyasadeva to Sukadeva Goswami, and then Sukadeva Goswami to Sutta Goswami. If it is not received in such disciplic succession, then it is hard to understand. Because Prabhupada says we should not hear it from somebody who is reciting, who is like professional Bhagavatam reciters, who are doing this just to make his livelihood. We should not hear from such people, because we see in India there are Bhagavad Saptah going on, and people just sit there and try to finish Bhagavatam in 7 days, which is absolutely not possible. But they just decided to make their livelihood. Prabhupada said we should never hear from them. What if we do? This is the instruction by Brahma to Narada. I will read the exact words of Brahma. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the Supreme Personality, unto the personality of Godhead Hari, the super soul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energy. This is the instruction given by Brahma, that please describe this science in a way that everyone will be able to understand this knowledge. So Prabhupada explains how Srimad Bhagavatam is needed. It is needed only from the beginning of Kali Yuga, because if you see, such book was not there present before Kali Yuga. And why is it now needed only from the beginning of Kali Yuga? Because of 4 main sinful principles, like illicit connection with women, intoxication, gambling, and killing of animals. So this Srimad Bhagavatam will be like the torchlight for human beings of Kali Yuga, and will take one from darkness to light. So it is explained well and scientifically, and it is explained scientifically so well that anyone who is sincere will easily understand it. Because everyone wants happiness, right? Everyone is hankering after happiness. So it is only by this association that we can get free from this distressful material system. So one can take shelter of Bhagavatam and they will be successful in the end. So Lord Brahma knows this very well, and that's why he requests for the well-being of all living entities, that he requests Narada to present it with determination and with good plan, so that it will benefit everyone. And for 53 has the second instruction that the Lord, again I will read the exact words, the Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. So Prabhupada further instructs that one should not directly jump to the activities of the Lord's internal energy, like his Rasa Leela, etc. One first to regularly hear about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy also, like how the Lord creates the material world, about his expansion, different incarnations. And then we can start reading about the different activities of the Lord's internal energy, like his Rasa Leela, everything, and other things. So a pure devotee knows this, that there is no difference between the pastimes of the Lord, like either in Rasa Leela, either it's Rasa Leela or maintenance or destruction of the material world, or lifting of Govardhan hills. There is no difference in all these pastimes. They are all the same for a pure devotee. So he listens to Lord's pastimes with gopis or lifting of Govardhan hill, or his pastimes of creation, maintenance, annihilation, with equal enthusiasm. So he is not just eager to know only about the Krishna's pastimes related to Rasa Leela or his pastimes with gopis. Pure devotee understands that all these pastimes are equally important, and he listens to them with equal enthusiasm. So in Bhagavatam, the first 9 cantos, why Prabhupada says that we have to read from the beginning, from canto 1, and should not jump directly to canto 10. Because the first 9 cantos prepare the ground for hearing the 10th canto. It it prepares one's mood or so that we understand the 10th canto properly. So Srila Prabhupada instructs that a pure devotee of the Lord must begin reading or hearing Bhagavatam from the very beginning and not from the 10th canto. So this is the same instruction by Brahma, and that's why he's requesting Narada to just plan it well and write it with determination. And by doing so, one is elevated to the higher platform where he can understand and release the pastimes of Krishna well in the proper way. So this was about verse 63. So here ends this chapter 7. Thank you all so much for giving me this opportunity. I will stop here. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Let's offer our obeisances. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhesha kupasundu bhyevacha paditanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.